What ended up happening is I had to do a lot of traditional kind of self-care, like really get real about why I was disengaging from the workplace. And so I was meeting with nutritionists, life coaches, spiritual people, and having to face all of my experiences in a new light. And so I was kind of an emotional hot mess all the way around, but somehow kept it together at the time. That all went into this book, which I never thought I was going to write, From Heart to Heart, which basically captured all of that hot emotional messiness. The next year, after I released that book, pretty much probably 1 year from when I saw you in that spring, I had this weird opportunity to check out a Chinese medicine modality. So not acupuncture, I don't stab people with needles, but this concept called medical Qigong, which is basically learning how to master someone's energy, learning how to care for someone's energy. And I went and sat in this program with a bunch of nurses and chiropractors and acupuncturists as the only HR person. And my teacher would say, I don't really understand why you're here. And I said, well, I think there's something to this energy and what we're suffering from in the workplace. And what this modality taught me was that energy is what makes us come alive. It's what allows the connections to happen in the space that you are experiencing, that you guys love and the support. It's not your biology. It's not because you're alive and breathing. If that was the case, then you could just hire anybody, right? We look for cultural fit. There's this energy component. And so if energy is such a huge part of this, how come we're never taught how to take care of it? We're only taught how to burn it at a rapid rate. And if there's anything that 2020 and beyond has shown us, is that burnout, if you thought it was a myth, it's a real thing. Anybody tired? So I went through and completed my master's in medical Qigong therapy, and I'm a certified medical Qigong therapist. And where my work has taken me now is how do I mesh 5,000-year-old ancient Chinese Oriental medicine wisdom and organizational development theory to see if maybe there is an answer to engagement. And where that journey has taken me is to stop talking about engagement and start talking about balance. So I want to just take a moment and dwell in this discomfort a little bit before we get to the stuff that I want to share with you about actual self-care and what goes into this component, and talk about what discomfort is like. So we're going to do an icebreaker, because I know icebreakers is a Lancaster term for you guys, so I'll with that, right? And remember, it's in relation to discomfort. So before you're like, this is a whacked out icebreaker, it's intentionally done that way, okay? So, and some of you might like this. My husband said he would have no problem doing this. I would hate this icebreaker. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take a time. You're going to do introductions at your table. But what you're going to do is when you introduce yourself, you have to talk for an entire minute about everything that you like about yourself. Yeah. 1 minute. And the person who gets to go first is the person who is wearing the most white at your table today. You get to determine if you like the way your energy is feeling in those areas or not. It's all, accustomed to you. There's no perfect right or wrong. It's about being real and being in the space to really understand, are you happy with the way that your energy is flowing? Because that's what this is all about at the end of the day. When we talk about inner peace or inner harmony or getting to be balanced, it's about where you feel you need to be in that space. It's not a universal answer for everybody, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull up these categories and I'm going to read 5 statements that classify each category, and I just want you to reflect on those statements and think about the way that you manage your energy and where you expend it on a daily basis. Are you happy with where you're at in regards to these statements? And you're not going to have to share it. I just want you to do an internal pulse check, okay? And if it helps, do a scale of 1 to 10. 1 means, man, I need to work on that. And 10 goes, I'm feeling good. I love where I'm at with that, okay? So obviously, I wanted you to experience this because these statements, they hit home. And this is a fraction of an assessment that we use with individuals to really get an understanding of where their frequencies are. and then start doing healing work to restore them back to a place of balance where people are happy with how their energy is flowing there. But why I brought this in there is I hope that you saw the whispers of the things that you do as HR in those statements. Why do you push for EAP to be there? So that people have someone to talk to. Why are you pushing for mental health? Those things are all on these, you're managing the energy in the workplace. And there's just so much more to essentially uncover in this concept of how can we heal and how can we do that. But before we get there, we have to start with ourselves. If you don't have the capacity to do any of those changes, I mean, we have this beautiful opportunity in organizations across the board where so many doors have been opened. Like, let's revisit compensation plans where we actually have to have competitive wages that might actually be where they were supposed to be, not where we were supposed to be evolving them over the last 3 or 4 decades. But do you have time to have those conversations? Let's have work-life balance. Let's talk about letting people have PTO. How many of you feel like you can actually take PTO and be in the PTO space where it's beneficial for your mental well-being? Diversity. Like, I remember when I started teaching about diversity, I taught it like the Noah's Ark theory. Like, it was like, we address it, we gotta have 2 of every kind in the organization, and we hit the mark. Fill out your EEO1, and now we're having all kinds of conversations where we can start unpacking that and making a difference. So all those doors have opened, and you all have the energy to make it happen, right? We need you to be strategic, show up. And so all this stuff is possible, but you have to be able to start with yourself and what you need.